Hey, what's going on, guys? Earlier today was UFC 308, Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway, and this is going to be my full card post-fight. We are going to discuss every single fight on the card from top to bottom. We're going to discuss the Rinat Fakhretdinov versus Carlos Leal. We're going to discuss Khamzat Chimaev versus Robert Whittaker. We're going to discuss Ilia Topuria, Max Holloway. And this was a great card. This card absolutely delivered. This was card of the year, in my opinion. Let's get right into it. Starting off with the very first fight of the night, we have Rinat Fakhretdinov versus Carlos Leal. First round was competitive. Rinat was able to mix in some of the grappling, but I thought Leal landed the better shots. Rinat had some moments where he landed some decent shots on the feet, and it was a competitive round. It could have went to Rinat. I thought it went to Carlos Leal. Second round, Fakhretdinov barely gets any grappling going. Leal outstrikes him. He's chopping the legs first and second round. Leal, I thought, clearly won the second round. Got taken down in the last like 10-15 seconds by Rinat, but he did nothing with it. Third round, the second round was there's no doubt in my mind Carlos Leal won that round, okay? I think he won the first. No doubt in my mind he won the second. Third round, kind of similar to the first round, but it's like Leal's not really reacting to shots, and he's, definitely the fresher fighter. He's landing leg kicks. He's landing good punches on the feet. And I had the third round for Carlos Leal as well. So I had 30-27 Carlos Leal. Somehow it's a unanimous decision for Rinat Fakhretdinov. Okay? Two judges had it 29-28. One judge had it 30-27 for Rinat Fakhretdinov. First off, whoever that judge is, I forgot his name. Fire him immediately. He should have been taken off the card. He is an idiot, and he has no idea what he's doing. But the other two, while I think they were fundamentally wrong, 1 and 3 were competitive enough where I could kind of see it. I still think it's bad. But Carlos Leal won this fight, okay? Let's be honest. He won this fight. This was a robbery. Now, I do want to address something, because I've seen a lot of people saying, see, Joey, the Muslim fighters get privilege in Abu Dhabi. First off, there is no commission in Abu Dhabi. The UFC self-regulates in Abu Dhabi. That means the UFC is bringing the referees and judges over mainly from Las Vegas, okay? Maybe there's some other ones that they have from somewhere in Abu Dhabi, whatever. The guy, who did score at 30-27, I did not recognize his name. But people act like this proves fundamentally Muslim fighters get an advantage in Abu Dhabi. And I think this fight in particular cannot be used to drive that narrative at all. And the reason why is this was an egregious scorecard. The 30-27 was indefensible, okay? There's no defense of that. The other two were bad, but you could at least defend them. But let me explain to you why this has nothing to do with Muslim. This has nothing to do with Abu Dhabi. And I don't even understand how anybody can even say that, considering every single week, week in and week out, we get egregious scorecards. Every single week, there's like a robbery. Every single week, there's a horrible scorecard. Taito Avasa 30-27 against Jairzinho Rosenstruck. It is what it is. I don't think there's truly some type of malice. There's truly some type of rigging because of someone's religion. Maybe there's a case of it at some point in time. But overall, it's just incompetent judging, okay? Carlos Leal should have won this fight, but to be honest, I don't care that he lost. You know why? I don't like to make these types of claims. I'm convinced Carlos Leal's on PEDs. So first off, he came in on short notice, so that means he did not have to be in the testing pool for 6 months. First off, the UFC is an in-house drug testing pool, so who cares anymore? Third off, I know people are going to say the acne on the back. That's not even what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned with the fact he walked through every shot like it was nothing. This man seemed invincible in this fight. Rinat would land a big, wild, sloppy wing punch, and Leal would just walk through it. Would absolutely just walk through it. So I'm convinced Leal's on PEDs. Probably the judges realize that too, and they're like, I'm giving 30-27 Rinat Fakhretdinov. But Rinat Fakhretdinov lost this fight. No doubt about it. It was a brutal robbery. But at the end of the day, I really think it doesn't matter. Carlos Leal would have got a decision. It would have been overturned to a no contest anyway, because he's going to test positive. If they did test him on fight night, it's going to come back. It's going to come back, and somebody's got to meet the quota. We got to pop somebody. We're not going to pop the high-level fighters that make us money. Let's pop a Carlos Leal and cut him from the organization. That's what the UFC's thinking. So Carlos Leal kind of got screwed here, but it is what it is. Next fight on the card, We have Ismael Naurdiev versus Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva looked like he didn't even want to be there. He really didn't. Naurdiev was outstriking him. He was mixing in the grappling throughout all 3 rounds. I mean, this was the tale of all 3 rounds. Silva looked lazy. He was kind of blitzing in. Naurdiev would mix in the takedowns when he needed to. He's landing shots on the feet. Bruno Silva, sometimes would, I think in the first round, worked his way back to the feet, but didn't really do much. All 3 rounds I scored for Naurdiev. He outstruck him. He took him down. I think in the 3rd round, I don't think Naurdiev, maybe he got a takedown. I don't remember. But I know Bruno Silva shot him on a takedown in the 3rd round. Like, he's clearly losing. I don't know if he's just there to collect the check or what. My eye's itching. But Bruno Silva looked horrible in this fight. Absolutely horrible. I'm glad I didn't pick him. I picked Naurdiev. I had some great picks on this card. We'll recap it towards the end of this video. But yeah, I don't know if Bruno Silva is checked out. I don't know if he just showed up for a check. I don't know if he's still reeling from that, 17 eye pokes he got from Chris Weidman, the brutal cheater. But he did not look good in this fight at all. He looked like he wanted to quit the entire time. The entire time. He looked like he did not want to be there. Even the commentary team was speaking on it. So, Naurdiev gets a 30-27 decision victory. Next fight on the card, we have Farid Basharat versus Victor Hugo. Farid Basharat looked pretty solid in this fight. I had him winning 30-27. First round, he was peppering him with shots, landing jabs, landed the right hand, chopping the legs a little bit. You had Hugo, I believe in the first round, he landed a spinning elbow. He also rolled for a leg lock, and Basharat literally shoved his toes right up Hugo's ass to avoid it. It was deep. It was deep, but it was never really close to being finished by any means. Farid ended up on top, landed some elbows, some ground and pound. They got back up. Farid was outstriking him again, and then late in the round, like 10 seconds left, Hugo rolled for another leg lock, which didn't end up, nothing ended up happening with it. The round ended. Second round, Farid was just outstriking him. Hugo, I think it was in the second round, Hugo stung him with a punch. I don't remember if it was a left hand or right hand, and then kind of marched him down a bit and shot a takedown. Took Farid Basharat down, but Farid got right back up and then continued to outstrike him. That was the one moment for Hugo in this fight. He kind of hit him, and then Farid backed up and started to sit down a little bit almost, kind of squat down. But Hugo did nothing with it. He shot a takedown and didn't do anything with it afterwards. He got the takedown. It was a double leg. Tim Welch was scratching his head. Never seen that technique before. I said that in my Hamzat video. But yeah, won the second round. Then third round, Hugo landed a spinning back kick to the body that kind of knocked Basharat down. Hugo got over aggressive after that because he kind of got back up. He was up against the fence. I think they were a little bit in the clinch. And then basically Basharat just ended up getting single legs. Hugo would work his way back to his feet, another single leg. There was a rubber guard attempt to use the rubber guard from Hugo. He would get up, he'd get taken back down. He had his back taken at one point. And yeah, I mean, there was one point where Hugo got back up. He shot the sloppiest takedown where he looked like Cody Garbrandt. Who did Cody Garbrandt get KO'd where he was crawling on the ground like a dog? I mean, I think it was Kai Kara France. Kind of looked like in that position, if you remember, you remember. And kind of was face against the fence, and then Farid just took his back there. So I had all 3 rounds for Farid Basharat. Clearly the better striker, clearly the better grappler. And I'll tell you right now, it would have been more of a blowout if Victor Hugo didn't miss weight by 10 pounds. Because you could tell Victor Hugo had a size advantage in this fight. And he missed weight by 10 pounds. They agreed at the catch weight or whatever it was, featherweight. And yeah, you could tell Farid had cut the weight and Hugo hadn't. And you could tell he was just kind of marching him down and felt invincible in this fight against Farid Basharat. But Basharat looked very technical, looked good on the feet, was pumping the jab, landing good leg kicks, grappling looked on point. He got caught with I think it was a left hand that hurt him in the second. Stung him. I don't want to say it really hurt him or rocked him. And then got caught with that nasty spinning back kick to the body in the third. It didn't really hurt him, but kind of sat him down a little bit in the corner. But nothing really ever came of it. And Farid Basharat gets the victory via unanimous decision. Next fight on the card, we have Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Chris Barnett. Kennedy Nzechukwu wins via first round TKO. Chris Barnett was jumping up and down as they were announcing him, and he hurt his knee. I think he ended up actually hurting his hamstring too, but he either hurt his knee or his ankle or his foot in the very beginning. He's jumping up and down. He's literally, he has the physique of a beach ball, okay? And I know someone's going to comment down below and make a fat joke about me. I literally look like Alistair Overeem when he was ripped. Alistair Overeem when he came into the UFC. That's what I look like compared to Chris Barnett, okay? So I don't want to hear the fat jokes. And I don't understand, you weigh that. You're obviously not in peak, physical shape. We can't all be, an absolute physical specimen like myself. And you're jumping up and down, putting all that weight on your joints. Like, he's like jumping up and slamming his feet down. But yeah, Kennedy Nzechukwu basically just teeped him and teeped him and teeped him. And you could tell Chris Barnett was hurt from the very beginning. Somehow the commentary team didn't pick up on it. Eventually, he throws like a spinning kick and tears his hamstring and ends up falling to the ground. He's up against the fence, just getting teed off on. And then basically at some point, he just decided it was too much. He eats a knee to the body. And then there's like some combinations Nzechukwu's following up with, and Chris Barnett doesn't even eat them, and he just falls to the ground face down. It was an embarrassing performance, and it's honestly quite sad. I know we all like Chris Barnett. He's funny. He's the funny fat guy who's dancing in the cage. He knocked out John Vellante and did that front flip. It's a real shame that we have guys like Chris Barnett in the UFC, but Dana couldn't bother to try to re-sign Francis Ngannou, and now he's shitting on him left and right. By the way, I know a lot of people have commented to make a video on that. That'll be coming tomorrow, probably, most likely, depending on how dead I feel after the night. It's already getting late. I've been making videos nonstop since the fights ended. I did a 7-hour stream. I've basically been working for the last 14 hours at this point. But yeah, Chris Barnett gets destroyed. Nzechukwu isn't even real heavyweight. I mean, this fight was heavyweight versus overweight, if you ask me. And yeah, I know everyone likes Chris Barnett. He's a scrub. He doesn't train. And he hurt himself by jumping up and down. And it was, I don't want to sit here and say, like, I'm happy that he got injured, because I'm not happy that anyone gets injured. But it was kind of funny. He pulled the Brian Ortega, okay? But he didn't pull off the victory. And Kennedy Nzechukwu literally lost to the dead body of OSP in his last fight. So horrible performance. Chris Barnett, horrible fighter. Doesn't belong in the UFC. And at this point, I'm ready to just join the UFC. I'm one fight away from a title shot, and half the division is straight up scrubs. Next fight on the card, Abus Magomedov versus Bruno Ferreira. Abus Magomedov gets it done via arm triangle. Man, my picks were on point tonight. Gets it done via arm triangle in the third round. Look, Abus walked him down. Good leg kicks, good head kicks. They were partially blocked in the first round. Clearly outstruck Bruno Ferreira in the first round. Second round, Abus was looking okay, and then got caught with a big right hand. And then there was like a head kick that looked like it partially landed. And somehow, to survive, he ends up getting a takedown and ends up taking the back. Like, he got a desperation takedown, ends up taking the back, get a full mount. But he's not able to hold on to the position. Bruno gets back up, starts going after him on the feet, looks for a spinning back elbow, gets taken down again, and Abus doesn't do any damage. Clear 10-9 for Bruno Ferreira. Had hurt Abus badly, man. He was getting walked down. He's lucky that he was able to get the takedown. It looked like he was on the verge of getting finished. And then the third round, Abus is winning on the feet, gets the takedown, takes the back, but Ferreira scrambles up. Abus is looking exhausted at this point. He looks over the clock. His mouth is wide open. And it looks like the writing's on the wall. Okay, Ferreira's going to win this round and potentially even get a finish, because Abus is gassed out again. And right after he looks at the clock, he shoots a double leg, takes Bruno Ferreira down with absolute ease. Bruno Ferreira's throwing illegal elbows to the back of the head of Abus, and Abus locks up an arm triangle as he's throwing these illegal elbows, and the ref's yelling at him for the illegal elbows and chokes him out in the third round. He taps out. I want to say great performance for Abus, but it's really not. It's really not, to be quite honest. I mean, the cardio looked horrible. If he had cardio, man, I think he's a top 5 guy. Maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration. Top 10 guy for sure. But the cardio is a huge issue. He didn't have I thought after the first round it was a shoo-in. Abus was going to win the fight, because he didn't even have a crazy high output in the first round. He was dominating. Bruno Ferreira probably belongs at 170. I'll say that. Abus looks substantially bigger than him. And yeah, I mean, literally, basically, Bruno Ferreira decided to throw illegal elbows instead of defending the full mount. Because as he's throwing the illegal elbows and the ref's yelling at him, Abus is just sliding into full mount and setting up the arm triangle and choking him. So, good win from Abus. Still needs to work on the cardio. I don't think his cardio will ever be good. He needs EPO or something. So, Abus gets it done. Third round arm triangle. Next fight on the card, we have Mateusz Rebecki versus Myktybek Orolbai. Great fight. The swelling on the eye of Myktybek Orolbai was absolutely insane. I believe it was his right eye. some of the worst swelling that I've ever seen in my entire life. It all started in the first round. Rebecki was landing a good left hand over and over and over again. Busted up the right eye, busted up the nose of Myktybek. Late in the first round, Myktybek dropped Rebecki with like a right hand, but Rebecki jumped right back up. He didn't appear like really wobbled badly. So I thought, okay, you're not going to let Myktybek steal around just because he dropped him late, and it wasn't like if he would have almost finished him there, then okay. But in reality, he just dropped him and Rebecki jumped right back up. So I had first round for Rebecki. Second round, Orolbai basically won on the feet, was super aggressive. I'm surprised the doctor didn't stop it in between rounds. He had like a little tiny sliver that he could see out of. And the doctor didn't stop it. The ref didn't stop it. Orolbai, I think he knew, because it was definitely limited his vision. He did. The doctor held up too, and he said too. So, but Orolbai was very aggressive in the second round. I thought he outstruck him in the second round. Got a takedown. Didn't do much with it in the second round. I thought he won the second round. So it was 1-1 going into the third round. And then in the third round, a left hand dropped Myktybek Orolbai. Almost got finished. I don't know how he survived. It was close to being stopped. There was crazy scrambles left and right. At one point, Myktybek ends up on top, doing some damage. And really, they were both exhausted at this point. And if Myktybek wouldn't have been able to get off more, because after like Rebecki hurt him and then went after him, he kind of gassed himself out completely and just, I mean, he emptied the tank looking for this finish because he thought for sure he had it. And if Myktybek would have had the energy to really put some damage on him in the last like 2 minutes or so, he could have stole the third round. He did put a decent amount of damage. He did land some ground and pound, but it was like he was too exhausted. And I think there was a last-ditch effort for Rebecki to get back up, and they were both basically exhausted standing. And I thought the third round was close, but just because of how much damage Mateusz Rebecki did, I thought he took the round. And so I had 29-28 for Mateusz Rebecki. Some people were saying maybe they scored a 29-28 for Orolbai. But yeah, I didn't score it for that. I mean, I think they both look really good. They're both kind of similar stylistic matchups. And I just think Rebecki's power and that left hand that kept landing on that right eye is really what won the fight. But I think Orolbai is still a decent prospect. I think Rebecki's a decent prospect. And yeah, great win for Mateusz Rebecki. He gets it done. I think it was a unanimous decision. Let me actually look that. It was a split decision. Okay, it was a split decision. Maybe I already said that. It's getting late. Now I'm starting to forget. But either way, Orolbai loses. Rebecki gets the win. I believe it was 29-28, if I'm not mistaken. He got two 29-28 decisions, or scorecards. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so that's it. Mateusz Rebecki gets it done. Next fight on the card, we have Geoff Neal versus Rafael dos Anjos. How in any universe anybody could pick RDA in this fight is, I mean, it's literally brain dead. I don't know how anyone would pick RDA. RDA, small welterweight, old. Geoff Neal, godly takedown defense, good power. Geoff Neal dropped him early with a left hand, follows him down, lands some ground and pound, lets him back up. Then gets an easy takedown, ragdolls him to the ground. Lands a little bit of ground and pound, lets him back up again. And then I'm trying to remember right now what triggered it. Let me actually look this up while we're on stream. I'm trying to remember, did he just fall to the ground? I'm trying to remember right off the top of my head, but like I kind of completely forgot. Let me make sure my stuff's muted. Yeah, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but I think he just fell down. I'm trying to remember what happened. I think he got clipped with a punch. And on the way down, basically, like at the awkward angle as he's trying to avoid the punch, I'm literally watching it as we're doing this video right now. As we're doing this video. So he lets him up after the takedown. And let's see. I think he lands a punch. No, he doesn't even land the punch. He throws a combination. It lands on the guard. And RDA just falls to the ground and starts grabbing his left knee. That's what I thought it was, but I just wasn't 100% sure. So, I mean, what's there really to say here? RDA's old, man. He's really, really old. And this was a sacrificial lamb for Geoff Neal. So Geoff Neal gets it done. I'd like to see like Geoff Neal versus Colby Covington. Colby Covington's been ducking Ian Machado Gary left and right. Book Geoff Neal versus Colby. I think Geoff Neal's a tough stylistic matchup for anyone. But what does a winner of Rafael dos Anjos do? But, I mean, this saved dos Anjos from a bad beating. But I hope it's not a serious knee injury because I believe it was his birthday. And either way, that's horrible. So, Geoff Neal gets it done. First round TKO over Rafael dos Anjos. Next fight on the card, the featured prelim. We have Ibo Aslan versus Rafael Cerqueira. Rafael Cerqueira got absolutely starched. I'm telling you guys, if any fighter has a beard like this, and I know it's not the same beard, they're going to win, man. They're gonna dump you on your bald spot. They're gonna KO you. It's just a known fact. Anybody that has a luscious black beard like this, thick, is just an absolute physical specimen. He caught him with a left hand, swarmed him up against the fence, just smashing him against the fence. KO'd him standing a couple times. He would hit him with a shot, flash KO, and wake him up with the next shot, just swarming and bashing his brains in. Finally, the referee jumped in. Man, it was a sick finish. It was a sick finish by Ibo Aslan. I believe he got a performance with the knife, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, let me see what the stoppage was. 50 seconds in, yeah, it was under a minute KO. And he gave Rafael Cerqueira absolutely, no time to do anything. And I believe it was his first loss. That was his first loss. So Ibo Aslan gets it done. And it's in a shallow light heavyweight division. So Ibo Aslan can really end up in the rankings soon, as crazy as that sounds. I think his next fight, he could fight like a ranked fighter and possibly get it done. So Ibo Aslan gets it done in the feature prelim, first round KO, under a minute. Next fight on the card, first fight on the main card, and this pay-per-view absolutely delivered. First round. Did I even say, hold on. I didn't even say the fight. Opening up the main card, we have Shara Magomedov versus Armen Petrosyan. This was one of the craziest finishes I've ever seen in my entire life. I believe it's the first of its kind. We have Shara Magomedov, double spinning back fist KO. Back shot's dead, in my opinion. So anyway, let's break down the fight a little bit. First round, lots of leg kicks from Armen Petrosyan, but Magomed's throwing him back. Magomed got caught with like a right hand early, but recovered and won the rest of the round. Landed a couple big shots, couple left hands, good body kicks, checking leg kicks as well, and a spinning back fist at the end of the first round. I had it first round scored for Shara Bullet, but early in that first round, it's looking like, wait a second, is Armen Petrosyan about to expose Shara Magomedov? Second round, Armen Petrosyan landed 3 low blows. 3 low blows. And Shara, I think, shook off 2 of them. And, yeah, I mean, it was really a bad look. And then Shara's winning. He's battering him with kicks, and he lands a low blow. And Armen Petrosyan takes the break. And then you look at the replay, and it really doesn't land at all. So they finally start back up. Shara's winning on the feet. He throws a right spinning back fist that's partially blocked. And as soon as he finishes, like, the torque into the right spinning back fist, and it's at the end of the round. It's at the tail end of the round. He then torques back around and throws a left spinning back fist, lands with the forearm right on Petrosyan's chin, puts Petrosyan down in the doggy style position, face down, ass up, just ripe for the taking of back shots dead. And he just walks off. He doesn't even look for the finish because he knows. He's like, man, I landed with this spinning back fist. It was filthy. It's over. And luckily, because it was the tail end of the round, I was worried the ref was going to be like, keep fighting. But now he looked at Petrosyan. Petrosyan literally got his ass in the air. And he's like, oh, no, I'm waving this off. I don't want to see any back shots dead. Please, no back shots dead. And, yeah, nasty KO for Shara Magomedov. First of its kind as far as I know. And I want to see him fight a ranked guy at middleweight. I think he's going to get exposed by a grappler. I don't know why Petrosyan didn't try to wrestle, because Shara has ugly takedown defense, not nasty takedown defense. That would make it sound like it was good. But yeah, Shara Magomedov gets it done via second round KO. Next fight on the card, we have Lerone Murphy versus Dan Ige. We have Lerone Murphy winning via decision. I believe was it not split? I don't think it was split decision. It was unanimous decision. I scored it for Lerone Murphy. First round, man, Ige looked good. He was aggressive early. Murphy landed an elbow. He cut him. I think it might have been a head clash that cut him. Ige got a takedown, controlled him for a little bit. Murphy scrambled back up. Both guys were landing, but Murphy got hurt late with a nasty left hand. Ige tried to finish him, landed some elbows, and then Murphy got back up, and he's swarming him against the fence, and the referee, I think it was Mark Smith, is looking at it closely, possibly getting ready to stop it. He spoke a couple times. I think he was saying fight back, but I couldn't really make it out. Murphy's like shelling up against the fence. He would throw like one punch. Shell back up, throw like one punch. Meanwhile, Ige's just throwing big shots. And somehow Murphy survives. He ended up landing like a flying knee at one point. Then they clinched. Then Murphy got a takedown. He's still kind of hurt. And Ige gets like a Kimura sweep at the tail end of the round. But clearly Ige won round 1. Round 2, The first half was kind of close, and then Murphy started to pull out ahead. Ige shot a takedown. Ige is clearly slowed down in the second round, and then Ige shoots a takedown, eats a knee right on the way in, coming to get a takedown. Murphy reversed position, started landing some combinations, ends up getting a takedown, gets full mount, starts landing some elbows, takes his back for a second, and then it gets too high, and Dan Ige kind of shucks him off a little bit. But Murphy ends up on his back in like a triangle position, and he's throwing hammer fists from the bottom. And so second round was clearly Lerone Murphy. And then it comes down to the third round. So it's 1-1 going into the third round. And Murphy was winning early and then looked for a takedown, was in deep on a double leg. And somehow, like DC was saying, he was surprised how deep he got in on the double leg. Like he was saying, Lerone was surprised himself. And like didn't even look to finish it. And Ige like sprawls out. And then basically Ige ends up on top for a decent amount of time, but doesn't really do any damage with it. And Murphy ends up working his way back to the fence, working his way back up to the feet. I think he almost gave up his back right before he got up against the fence, kind of in a turtle position, but he's fighting to keep the hooks. Dan Ige was trying to get the hooks in. Got back up. Murphy starts landing some damaging shots in the clinch. Then they split. Then they break. And then Murphy starts landing some good shots on the feet. And then at the end, I'm trying to think. I think there was a takedown by Ige, maybe last minute and a half. Takedown by Murphy, I'm sorry. And then I think Ige scrambled up, and then they just started going wild for like the last 20 seconds. And there was a knee, a really good, solid knee that landed for Murphy, a left hand that landed for Murphy. Dan Ige was throwing back wild, but none of his shots really actually landed. So I thought the third round, Lerone Murphy clearly won, but it is debatable. So I had 2 and 3 for Lerone Murphy. Great win for Lerone Murphy. I think Dan Ige's criminally underrated. And you know, this was a fight that really proved Murphy. I mean, I know he beat Edson Barboza, but Edson Barboza is kind of, you know, being put out the pasture at this point in the UFC. And I think this was a fight that really proved that Murphy belongs. And I'd like to see him in a big fight in his next fight. I don't know who they're going to book him against or who he could even be. Maybe like a Calvin Kattar. I think Calvin Cater's coming off a loss against Aljamain Sterling. But I'm sure there's plenty of good matchups. Maybe a Brian Ortega. I think Murphy would beat Brian Ortega. But yeah, I think Dan Ige is a really tough stylistic matchup for a lot of guys with the nasty power, has good wrestling as well. And it's one of those guys that's kind of like a measuring stick in the division. And Murphy got it done, man. He got hurt bad. I thought for sure he was going to get finished in that first round. Ige was all over him, man. And the left hand sat him down bad. It looked like it was definitely going to be done. And there were some good elbows, some good shots once he got up. But ultimately survived and then came back and won the second and third round. So great win for Lerone Murphy. Next fight on the card. The featured fight on the card. We have Magomed Ankalaev versus Aleksandar Rakic. Magomed Ankalaev wins via decision. I believe one judge had it 30-27. Two judges had it 29-28 for Magomed Ankalaev, if I'm not mistaken. I never seen as much of a biased reaction to a fight as I seen with Ankalaev Rakic. I had Ankalaev winning all 3 rounds. I know people are going to say, Joey, you're biased. He's Dagestani. He's Muslim. You're biased. I even went back and rewatched the first round. The first round was kind of close, but Ankalaev landed a couple hard left hands. He landed a couple really good body kicks. And basically, if you give it to Rakic, you have to score it off a couple leg kicks because he threw a lot of leg kicks and they were scoring a lot of leg kicks for Rakic, but quite a few of them were checked. Okay? Quite a few of them were checked. And then you have to basically score it for Rakic because he threw head kicks over and over and over again that were blocked by Magomed Ankalaev. But even if you want to give the first round to Rakic, which I think is borderline delusional, but I kind of get it because not a whole lot happened, but Rakic is just walking him down. You could tell Rakic came in and looked for a statement performance here, which is why I picked him. I originally picked him via decision. Then I said, look, I'm going to pick him via KO because I think he's going to really come out and look for that statement performance. Rakic ran the entire fight. He truly ran the entire fight. And after the first round, that's all he did. I mean, Ankalaev in the second round was landing big left hands, body kicks. Rakic threw a couple like body punches in the second round, but only landing leg kicks. Not really. I mean, even Ankalaev was checking those as well. Shot a takedown in the second round, failed. Second round was clearly Ankalaev. And then he goes to the corner. Rakic goes to the corner. And Rakic's corner is like, look, he's going to come out desperate. He's going to come out desperate. You're up 2 rounds. I'm like, what? What is going on here? He needs to fire his corner immediately. I mean, that's an absolute joke. He's up 2 rounds? In what universe? Idiots. And then the third round, Rakic Basically does what he's been doing the first 2 rounds and try to stall out the fight. He just circles and circles and circles and circles and circles. Magomed Ankalaev trying to walk him down, trying to cut him off, landing the left hand, land some body kicks. Rakic avoids the entire fight. Then late, he shoots in on a takedown and just tries to stall out the fight up against the fence. And Ankalaev is not going to get taken down by Rakic, and even reverses the position and does some damage in the clinch. And Ank was winning on the feet before that, and Ank won the clinch position as well. So Ankalaev clearly won the 3rd round. I can't believe Rakic's corner told him he was up 2 rounds. What fantasy world are they living in? I'm literally baffled. I don't understand it at all. But some people were scoring this for Rakic somehow. I think those people are inherently biased. And also people are like, oh, this was such a boring fight. Ankalaev is not a boring fighter, and this was not a boring fight. But I swear, there's part of me that thinks, did someone try to pay Rakic? Look, Rakic, go out there and try to make it as boring as possible. We need a really boring fight so we can deny Ankalaev the title shot. And the amount of people saying, yeah, Ankalaev doesn't deserve a title shot with this performance. I think he's on a 13-fight unbeaten streak now. I am 100% committed, and I'm 100% picking Magomed Ankalaev now at this point. Because people don't like him. He's the most deserving contender. And I'm not picking him because people don't like him. But people don't like him, and he's the most deserving contender, but yet they don't want to see Ferreira knock him out. Pereira's got brutal KO power. I am convinced that everyone thinks Ankalaev will win. That's why they're denying him a title shot. I'm convinced the UFC thinks Ankalaev can win. That's why they're denying him a title shot. I believe Ankalaev is the uncrowned champ. He beat Jan Blachowicz. He was brutally robbed. I think Jan Blachowicz got robbed by Alex Pereira. I think Ankalaev is the uncrowned champ. I think especially now that the narrative that Ankalaev's kind of been ducked in a way, I don't necessarily think Pereira's doing it intentionally. I think it's more the UFC, and a lot of fans don't love Pereira and don't want to see him lose. I'm just committed that Ankalaev's going to win. I think everyone thinks that he beats Pereira, and that's why they're so desperately trying to discredit him. That's the only fight to make. But since that buildup has kind of happened, and then you have Ankalaev come on the mic and say, stop running from me, Alex. And I actually thought it was kind of like endearing. Pause. I never thought I'd be using that talking about a post-fight interview with another grown man. But either way, I think Pereira Ankalaev has some serious hype behind it. I'm being dead serious. Ankalaev's nasty on the feet. That straight left hand. He's a southpaw. He can give trouble to Pereira. And, yeah, it's a fight I want to see. It's the only fight to make in the light heavyweight division. I have a gut feeling it's not going to happen. I really do. I really do. I don't think the UFC wants it. I think Pereira's going to end up fighting in heavyweight. That's my prediction. As it stands right now, I don't think Ankalaev's getting a title shot against Pereira. And unfortunately, it's another great matchup that a lot of people want to see, and we're not going to see it because who knows what the UFC is going to do with the heavyweight division. Probably Jones wins. Jones and Stipe both retire. And then they book Tom versus Pereira. I could even see him booking Jones versus Pereira and having Tom Aspinall sit out even longer. I could see that happening. I could totally see that happening. But Ankalaev gets it done via unanimous decision. I thought he clearly won. I thought he had a sense of urgency. I thought it was a relatively entertaining fight. You could tell he came out and was looking to make a statement. And, yeah, Ankalaev wins via decision. Rakic has low fight IQ. I mean, he's stalling out the fight while he's losing. And literally all he did was spam head kicks the entire fight. I don't think he landed a punch the entire fight. And then some leg kicks. And Ank was checking half of them. So Ankalaev gets it done via decision. Give the man a title shot. Next fight on the card, we have Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat Chimaev. I will link it down below. I did a full 25-minute breakdown on this fight, but I'm gonna discuss it in this video as well. This is why it's a full card UFC 308 post fight. Khamzat Chimaev finished Robert Whittaker with a face crank in the first round. I almost said neck crank. Dare I say Khamzat buzzsawed through Robert Whittaker. And look, I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. I've been confident in Khamzat Chimaev for a long while. And there was a campaign to discredit him. You know, he's a pull-out merchant even though he's not. And, you know, he hasn't beat anyone good, even though I think he beat Kamaru Usman on short notice when he was supposed to fight Paulo Costa. And that's a quality win. And people were discrediting that. And he ragdolled Kamaru Usman. I said going in this fight, look, he's going to ragdoll Robert Whittaker. He's going to finish Robert Whittaker in the first round. I even said late first round. I picked TKO via ground and pound. But he finishes him with a face crank, which is just insane. Just real quick, how did the fight go down? Robert Whittaker threw 2 leg kicks. Khamzat threw a head kick that missed. Shoots in on a double leg. Gets him down for a second. Robert Whittaker kind of pops right back up, but Khamzat has the body lock. Ragdolls him down. Knees to the thighs, knee to the body. A little bit of ground to pound. Robert Whittaker keeps kind of switching positions, this side, that side, to try to eventually work his way out. Eventually, Khamzat drags him away from the fence, looks to take his back, takes his back momentarily, and Robert Whittaker scrambles out and gets back to the feet for a brief second because Khamzat shoots in on another takedown immediately. They barely get any space. Takes him down again, gets the back again, landing some shots, landing some ground and pound. Eventually has one hook in up against the fence, lands 2 elbows to the side of the head, and then locks up a rear naked choke, but it's not even under the chin. It's just on the chin. Squeezes it. You go back and watch the replay. I didn't even see this before I did my initial reaction. You can see almost the jaw, just like the amount of space when he squeezes the chin that goes back. You can see it almost collapse in on itself. So apparently he has a dislocated jaw. His teeth are pushed back like 2 to 3 inches in his mouth. It was insane. I mean, and Robert Whittaker just starts tapping like his life depends on it. Crazy win for Robert Whittaker, or crazy win by Khamzat Chimaev over Robert Whittaker. And I mean, the haters and the discreditors, I don't know what they come up with now. It was a fluke. The scale rigged it for Khamzat Chimaev. Dagestani privilege, Chechen privilege, Muslim privilege. I don't know what they come up with. I mean, this was a flawless performance to steal a title shot. And when I say steal a title shot, I mean rightfully earn a title shot with actual quality wins. A win over Kamaru Usman at middleweight on short notice is a quality win. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. And a domination of Robert Whittaker, a former middleweight champion, is an amazing win. And, I mean, who else are you going to give a title shot to? Sean Strickland, who's got a split decision win over Paulo Costa that was absolutely boring. And I'll tell you right now, Sean Strickland's already melting down. He's scared. He's terrified. DDP versus Khamzat Chimaev, if they don't make that fight, we riot. That is the fight to make. There is no doubt about it. They need to make that fight. I don't care what anyone says. I do not care what anyone says. That fight needs to get made. And, I said I would never pick against DDP ever again. I'm picking Khamzat Chimaev. I think Khamzat's a different beast. I think the stamina narrative is a bit of a myth. He's gone, a hard 3 rounds with Kamaru Usman and Gilbert Burns. Won both round 3s in both of those fights. He's ragdolling Kamaru Usman, who I believe is a harder stylistic matchup than Robert Whittaker. And man, does it feel good. Everyone was laughing. Joey, you're picking Khamzat to finish Robert Whittaker in the first round? Nobody ever finishes Robert Whittaker in the first round. How is that ever going to happen? You're crazy, Joey. Look at me now. Man, the victory lap I took in the dedicated video for this fight was really, really solid. I think Khamzat is I think he's special. In retrospect, I think he could have been 3-division champion. He would smoke Leon Edwards. It wouldn't even be competitive. He would smoke Leon. He would have beat Kamaru Usman when he was champion in the welterweight division. He has a really good chance to beat DDP. I think he does beat DDP. I don't think DDP, the physicality, okay, the strength, okay. I don't think he has the jiu-jitsu skill to keep up with Khamzat. The way Khamzat was floating on top of Robert Whittaker as he's trying to scramble was unbelievable. It was almost like he was suspended from the rafters. I don't think DDP has the ability. I mean, he's getting ragged out by Brunson in the first round. And I don't think Khamzat's going to gas. You got to pray. If you're DDP, you got to pray that Khamzat gasses out and you're able to finish him. DDP finds a way to win. I don't think he's going to find a way to win against Khamzat Chimaev. I would pick Chimaev right now, first round finish. And I know I said I would never pick against DDP again, but I got to pick Khamzat in that fight. That's the fight to make. That's the fight they should make. And if they don't make it, it's an absolute travesty. But I'm just laughing, man. All the Khamzat Chimaev haters, where are they at now? They all crawled into a hole. I didn't get any comments. I was losing subscribers on my video where I said it was going to be an easy win for Khamzat. I said he's going to buzzsaw through him. I said he's going to go out there and ragdoll him and he's going to fuck him up bad. And people were saying, Joey, you're crazy. This is the worst take I've ever heard. He struggled with Kamaru Usman, a pound for pound, one of the greatest fighters of all time. Pound for pound, number 1 for the longest time. Oh, he struggled with him on short notice. He went from Paulo Costa to Kamaru Usman on a couple days' notice. That's still difficult for him, even though he had a full training camp. So I knew this was going to happen. I'll pat myself on the back over and over and over again, even though some of you guys don't like it. Khamzat Chimaev, 14-0, and an absolute freak. And I think his striking is underrated as well. He gets it done. First round, face crank, 3 minutes and 34 seconds into the first round. Robert Whittaker had 2 full training camps and only lasted 3 minutes and 34 seconds. A lot of people thought Khamzat's Ikram. No. Ikram doesn't have anywhere close to the ability of Khamzat, and he stepped in on short notice on a double weight cut to fight Robert Whittaker. Of course, Robert Whittaker's going to chin him. Khamzat's not that guy, okay? Khamzat is just next level. His striking is really good. His grappling is next level. I think he has the best grappling in all the UFC. So he gets it done first round. Great win for Khamzat Chimaev. He needs to be #1 contender. We need DDP versus Khamzat Chimaev in South Africa. That's the fight to make. Next fight on the card, main event, Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway. I did a full breakdown video on this as well, about 20 minutes long, I believe. I encourage you guys to go check that out. I will link it down in the description. Topuria brutally chinned Max Holloway in this fight. And realistically, I know it was competitive, but in like retrospect now, Topuria just destroyed Max. I knew it was over in the first 10 seconds because Max Holloway is supposed to be the BMF. And Topuria walked out there, did the little, let's step in the center, and then stood in the center ready to bang. And Max Holloway said, I don't want no trouble. I knew right then and there, I said, oh, Max is terrified of his power. And first round, Topuria's chopping his legs, landing big shots. I think ripping to the body a little bit as well. And Max started to come on strong towards the end of the round. But even then, I mean, Topuria, like a minute and a half in, shot a double leg, got Max down with ease. Max got up, fair enough, but I think he even got dragged down again for a second up against the fence. But Max got up. Topuria didn't do any damage with it, but he just used that to mix it in. And that was maybe like 2 minutes into the round, one and a half minute into the round. And then Topuria was just landing good shots on the feet, bigger shots. He was just walking him down. Towards the end of the first round, Max was landing a couple jabs and some kicks here and there. And, yeah, I had Topuria winning the first round. Second round, Topuria, I mean, similar to the first round, but I felt like it was a little bit closer. I thought Max did a little bit more damage. You had a spinning back kick at the end of the round for Max Holloway to the body. I think also at the end of the first round, if I'm not mistaken, Max slipped. It looked like a drop, and Topuria took his back, but it was like 10 seconds to go. But it was a slip when you went back and looked at it. But Topuria landing good shots in the second round. Topuria walking him down. Max kind of coming on strong again towards the end of the second round. Landed some jabs, landed the spinning back kick. It was close second round. I could see giving it to Max. I think 2 out of the 3 judges gave it to Ilia Topuria. But I had Topuria just landing the harder shots. I know Max was probably throwing more, but they were little pitter-patter shots. He would occasionally throw like a big shot. Third round, Topuria just comes out aggressive. He's a little bit busted up on like the right eye, but comes out aggressive, walking Max Holloway down, lands a nasty right hand, snaps Max Holloway's head back. And then basically from that right hand on, it was over. Starts walking him down, gets him up against the fence, ripping to the body, ripping upstairs. Max Holloway circles out. I'm like, oh, he's going to survive. Ilia Topuria walks him down, lands like another right hand, and then a picture-perfect left hand right on the chin. Drops Max Holloway, follows him to the ground, smashes him with hammer fist. It's TKO, third round. It was sad, man. It was sad seeing Max like that. People think I hate Max because I've criticized him for the BMF stuff, and I think Topuria wins. Essentially, people pick with their emotions 24/7. I tend to not do that. So people love Max. And, oh, Max is going to win. You saying Ilia is going to finish him is crazy. Topuria is the best boxer in the UFC, I'll say. Right now. I'll say that right now. And he has ungodly power. And what I'm sad about is this Max Holloway's, Tony Ferguson's, Justin Gaethje's moment? Is that what this is? That's what it felt like, guys. That's what it felt like. It felt like the moment Tony Ferguson had against Justin Gaethje. Remember, that was a title fight, UFC 249. Tony Ferguson got the brakes beat off of him and was never the same. Hasn't won a fight since. Oh, my God. Hasn't won a fight since. That was early 2020, April 2020, if I'm not mistaken. This could be Max's moment. I told you guys, we got to appreciate these guys in the special moment in time that they're in. Because like that, boom, they're done. And that could be what happened here. That truly could be what happened here. I hope not. I think Max is going to go up to 155. They'll probably have him defend his BMF belt against Dustin Poirier, if I had to guess. He really shouldn't be a BMF. He should be stripped after refusing to bang in the center. How can you be BMF? And then afterwards, he's complaining to Poirier's carrying around a BMF belt. He's like, well, that was in a different weight class. Well, I thought the BMF was anytime, anywhere. So I think Max has made himself look bad a little bit recently. But it's a WWE gimmick belt. Who gives a rat's ass, to be quite honest? And that's another thing. People keep talking about, oh, it's the BMF curse. It's the BMF curse. No, this is a result of the UFC handing out a participation trophy. Oh, you're a fan favorite? Oh, let's put you in a fight for the BMF. You know, so you have Jorge Masvidal. He's the BMF champion. He gets slumped by Kamaru Usman. You have, you know, Justin Gaethje, the BMF champion, gets slumped by Max Holloway. Oh, you have Max Holloway, the BMF champion, fights the best guy in the world, gets brutally slumped. This is what happens when you give out a participation trophy for second best. You're probably going to get finished. Now, I know technically Justin Gaethje fought Max, and necessarily that wasn't like fighting a champion. But, I mean, Justin Gaethje would have got slaughtered by Islam Makhachev. Let's be honest, okay? He would get, I mean, he has no jiu-jitsu. So, this is not a curse. This is just what happens. BMF is a participation trophy. That's why it's silver. And, man, I don't know who beats Topuria at featherweight. I was going through it in my other video. I don't know who beats him. I think the only person with a shot is Movsar Evloev, and I'd pick Topuria over Movsar Evloev. And Topuria, just entering his prime, arguably, unbelievable hands, unbelievable grappling. People don't realize he was primarily a jiu-jitsu fighter before he came into the UFC. I was trying to tell people heading into the Bryce Mitchell fight. People were like, Bryce is going to outwork him on the ground. I'm like, dude, Topuria has submission skills, legit submission threat on the ground. People are like, no, Bryce is going to beat him. Look what he did to Bryce. He ragdolled him and subbed him. He's getting better with every single fight. I truly don't know who beats him. I think it would have to be a Movsar Evloev, which I don't think is going to happen. You know, some people are already saying, oh, what about Islam Makhachev? No, let Ilia Topuria and Islam fight in their own divisions. Maybe in another 2 years, maybe they can fight each other if they're still winning. But I'm not ready to see that right now. But yeah, Topuria looked incredible. Took limited damage, really didn't take any damage. It looks like they're going to book the Volkanovski fight next. They had Volkanovski come in the cage, and honestly, if I'm Volkanovski, I'd duck that fight. I wouldn't want another shot at the belt, but they're going to give it to him. You know, he was the long-time dominant featherweight champion. Topuria clipped him and KO'd him. He's going to get the rematch. I think Volk gets KO'd again, and that's going to be the end of his career. Topuria is unbelievably skilled on the feet. He was brutalizing Max Holloway's leg. I don't even know if I said that because now I'm mixing in my video from earlier with this video. I mean, he was, great fight IQ from Topuria. His game plan was, and now I'm kind of losing my voice a little bit. His game plan was chop the leg to limit the mobility of Max Holloway and then explode forward with big combinations. And that's what he did. And once he landed that right hand, unbelievable killer instinct and found the finish. Filthy left hand, put him down. Nasty hammer fist. I hope this isn't the end of Max Holloway. It was sad to see, but it may very well be the end of Max Holloway. And it is what it is. We'll have to find out. Again, this is the sport we live in. It's a brutal sport. So, yeah, let me know what you guys thought of the card. I thought it was an amazing card. By the way, real quick, your boy went 12 out of 13. I'll realistically, it should be 11 out of 13 because Rinat Fakhretdinov lost. The only pick I got wrong was Orolbai. That was the only pick I technically got wrong on this card, and that fight kind of could have went either way. That was even a split decision. I could have had a sweep tonight, boys. But unfortunately, I'm actually happy Orolbai lost because if I would have got a sweep tonight, I would have felt like shit because Rinat didn't deserve to win. It was a robbery. But yeah, I really enjoyed UFC 308. I think it's card of the year. Main and co-main absolutely delivered. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And thank you so much for watching.